Your mom and dad. Your mom and dad. Your mom and dad. Your mom and dad.
Well, welcome home, family.
Welcome home, baby.
It's your mom and dad. The family.
Lee did it this time.
It sounds a little creepy with all of us saying
It's culty.
Yeah, very culty.
It's a little creepy, but you know what? I love it anyway.
It'd be like, what's a good cult name? You're like, the Unity. It's like, and everyone, the Unity. You know what I mean?
It's your mom and dad.
very
It's a little
very-
creepy. Didn't ever think about that, but here we are.
When you come into our home, you go, hello. And then all the kids say, your
mom and dad.
Mom and dad.
Well, you know, another thing I've been thinking about today is, hey, I have a question to you both and also all of our older listeners. Is it just part of getting old that it doesn't matter how much sleep you get, you never feel rested? Do you guys feel this
Do
way?
you feel rested?
I felt rested today because of the nice gloomy day.
Oh, so your resting is more about like the psychology of the environment.
Of the state of the
That's part
environment?
it. No, but
Okay.
to actually answer your question, yeah, I mean, if I go back to sleep after waking up and I wake up like 2 hours later, it's like nothing changed.
This is, I'm telling you, I swear, I don't know. I'm like, maybe I need to up my vitamins. Maybe I need to up whatever. But I swear to you all, like, okay, so we had a busy weekend. This weekend, Evan was in Nashville working.
Yeah.
Well, more than the weekend, but for like the week. And then I was running around with the kiddo. We were having a great time. Super fun. But, you know, not a lot of rest. Last night, you and I got so much sleep. We put aside all our responsibilities
did.
to get so much sleep for us. We went
I
to
think we went
bed,
to bed at 9 and got up at 7.
which is it's a lengthy period of time.
What is that?
Hey,
Is that how many hours?
10
is it 11?
hours?
10,
10
11
hours. Hey, I don't feel any more rested.
Yeah.
I've noticed this maybe in the past year officially. I'm like, maybe as I come into my 35th year, that
Yeah.
it doesn't matter how much sleep, even if I have a week packed with a regular sleep, it's never enough.
It's never enough.
It's never enough. I
Here's
wish I
what I
could
will-
sleep, like hibernate for
Here's what I will
months.
say though. I don't know how you feel, but I feel like if you had the week we had, which is just like a big lack of sleep, I don't think one night does it.
Yeah, that's true.
I think you need a
Understood.
couple.
Understood, but I'm telling you, even on those weeks where I'm like, I'm crushing the sleep game, like
Yeah.
I'm going to bed at a reasonable hour, you know, getting a lot of sleep, it still is never enough. It's still like, okay, maybe if I get one more good night of sleep tomorrow, tomorrow comes, I get the good night of sleep,
Yeah.
never feel rested.
But I also think that if you get up early, it kind of like tells your brain like, all right, we're going. I think if you sleep, there is such thing in my mind as too much sleep.
Sure.
Like you get 10 hours as like a grown adult. I feel like it's like that's 2 hours too much almost.
This is very bro science.
Well,
I don't
this
trust
has
this.
been studied by millions of
Millions of bros.
Now,
millions of bros all over the world have come together.
and see if you get too much sleep,
Yeah.
you're gonna be sleepy always.
Exactly.
There was this guy that I saw on, it was Instagram or TikTok, and I made a TikTok about it, and I kept thinking about him when I've been tired all morning. He is just, you know, bro central health and wellness guy. And he was like, I wake up every morning at 4 a.m. From 4 a.m. to 4:20, I meditate. Oh no, he does an audiobook from 4 to 4:20. And then from 4:20 to 5, my wife and I get on a treadmill and we meditate together while running on the treadmill. And I'm sitting there going, is this man always tired?
Yeah.
Like you're getting up at 4? And then when they were asking him how much sleep he gets, he was like, probably about 4 hours.
Yeah, and his wife hates him. Right? Like he doesn't mention that part. He's like, yeah, I saw another guy too, and he goes,
He's like, I wake her up
He's like,
every
yeah,
day.
and
My
she
husband that woke me up
curses
every
the day
day
I
at
live.
4:20. It's just be like, I hate you so much.
I have another. There's another guy that like I pops up on my algorithm who's like another kind of motivational entrepreneurial guy, and his whole thing is that he goes, you know, you guys have one day. He goes, me 3 days, and the guy's like, what do you mean? He's like, I get up at 5. I work from 5 to 11 a.m. That's one day. Day 2, 11 to 6. Day 2. He goes, third day, 6 to 10. It's 3 days. And then like it cut to this guy who's going, no, that's just one day. You can't just You can't just divide the day into thirds and call them the 3 days. But that's like what people are doing on Instagram. I feel like these days, they're just making up shit that like doesn't even make sense, but it's like a way to like sound like you're coming up with some new shit.
I just kept thinking about this guy today. I'm like, God, how is he not exhausted? He's waking up every day. Here I am getting my 10 hours of sleep, and I'm just like, I could go back for another 10. Maybe you know what? Maybe tomorrow I'll get up at 4 and try this routine. And guess what? You're getting woken up with.
I'm down. Let's do it. I also call bullshit on those guys. Like maybe they do that once a week.
Yeah, no,
you know what I mean?
definitely taking naps.
There's no way they're not doing that all the
Yeah,
time.
they forgot to mention their midday 4.5 hour snooze. Like, come on.
I mean, there's a hilarious trend. Have you seen the trend where people who are applying for like college or like a job or doing something like that, they'll convince their parents that they have to do a video, send a video to the college where they sit with their parents and talk about like what they're into, what they do, what their hobbies
like
are, what their daily,
resume.
like kind of like a resume. And so it's a prank they do on their parents where they have the parents sit here and then they talk to the camera and they lie the whole time. And then the parents are trying to like hold it in. So like these like 16-year-olds are like, hi, my name's, Clarissa, and I get up at 5 a.m. every morning. I go for a 45-minute jog. I get back. I do all the dishes. I cook my whole family breakfast. And then the parents are sitting there like the mom's literally going like, what the fuck? Like, like, and by 7:30 a.m. I've already finished all my taxes and like the parents are trying to hold it together.
It's like the ultimate version of when you are getting a job and on your resume you say like, oh, you can do all of these things.
You care too much, try too hard.
I remember in high school when I was trying to get different like retail jobs, I would add in some details that I was like, God, I hope they don't ask me to do Excel because I really don't know how to do it.
Right. I'm banking on the fact they're not going to need me to do this.
I'm a master of Excel.
Like I sailed across the world. I'm like, they probably won't ask me to sail, so I can say that.
Day 2, they're like, we have a
we have a
odd
sales
job for
event.
you. It's going to involve sailing.
A private party on a sailboat. You know how to sail, right? Like,
It's going to really, really impress the investors, so we're going to need you to sail.
that'd be like a really interesting study, is if like they were somehow able to dissect people's resumes of people who got jobs and see how much lying is on a resume. It's got to be like 80%.
It's got to be massive. Speaking of lying, before we get into what we are here for today, which is a Love is Blind After the Altar recap, it just made me think of something. So, okay, you could call this lying. I'm going to call it having a fun time. As you know, when we had Instagram free Aunt Katie, my bestie, on to give, some dating advice, she then always reminds me throughout the week if we see each other or do something that she's like, please give this tip to the family. I love them. Share this tip.
Yeah.
So we discovered a new tip as of recently that if you are, out at a party, at a bar, restaurant, whatever, a way in which you can get into a fun conversation with someone. You could say this is a dating tip. I think it's just a fun life tip because I was doing it and I was having a blast.
Okay.
And again, you might call it lying, but end of the day, I feel like it's just a fun time. So when you are out and about, if someone comes up to you and is like, so, what's your story? I feel like you get those general questions a lot. Like, what's your deal? What's your story? You start to tell the person, and you just come up with it at the top of your head. You start to tell the person a plot to one of your favorite movies. It's so much fun.
It's insane.
And you might call it lying, but what I call it is a great vetting process, because if the person realizes that you're telling them the plot to one of your favorite TV shows or movies, it's a fun moment. You can see if they'll go along with it, and then you can actually talk to them about what your life's like. But for example, you could just say, I like to use Gilmore Girls a lot, right? I'll be like, oh, well, my life, have a really, really tight relationship with my mom. She had me when she was young. I see my dad every once in a while, but I don't know, it's been pretty complicated lately because my grandparents, they're really hard on my mom and they wanted her to go to Yale. So now they're kind of pushing that on me, and I think I might want to go to Yale, but I do a whole spiel. You know what I mean? Also, you could do a Friends. The plot of Friends and ask a suggestion. You could start the conversation. You could tap someone on the shoulder and be like, I have a question for you. I need your opinion. My boyfriend and I recently went on a break, and we both considered it a break, but he slept with someone, and I told him, and you just do the whole Ross and Rachel plot.
Yeah. See, I would just do like, my life's been crazy for me. I don't want to say I'm not like an ancient warrior, but I would say that there was this girl that I've kind of been seeing for a couple centuries now. And, she entrusted me to kind of save her hometown from like some bad guys over the years. And it's called Hyrule. And it's like a small town. And it's like, I would be so bad at it. I immediately just pick some like fantasy movie. They're like, what?
The other day, Instagram was Aunt Katie she did take it a little too far because she did the plot of Beauty and the Beast. She was like, I live in a really small French town. I love to read. I'm obsessed. People make fun of me for how much
I'm a
I
total
read.
bookworm.
My dad's this big time inventor. He was kind of going from this conference, and then this like really hairy guy kidnapped him. His horse came back, told me that he was kidnapped. I took his place. There was a floating rose, and I was like, now we've gone too far.
I would imagine though, like drunk person at a party or a bar, like you could probably get really far into the story before like people start to go, wait a second, the horse told you?
Trust and believe, we've gotten pretty far.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is that it is a very fun, you could use it as a fun way to start up a conversation with someone, especially if you feel a little nervous. Like, I don't know if I want to share about myself.
Yeah.
You just come up with a plot of your favorite TV show or movie, or just a fun way to get some giggles when you're out and about, feeling a little bored. You know what I mean? You just start telling plots. And again, you might think that it's lying. I think it's having a good time. You can be honest at the end. Imagine though, if this is how you end up meeting your partner.
Yeah.
Okay. And then one day at the wedding, your partner is giving the speech and telling the story that, I don't know, she came up to me one day and told me that she had to save her hometown of Tatooine, and she was raised by her uncle and aunt, and then there was a droid involved, and I bought everything, and now we're in love.
I thought she was just talking about AI. If anything, it's a good time, and if the person even catches on, like it would be like, oh, you're a fun person.
Exactly.
And you're not like, what do you do for work? You know, it's not like the normal bullshit.
That's what I'm saying. And then it could be a fun test too, because if they catch on and they start playing with you, it's so fun to play.
It is fun to play.
And it's a good sign when someone can play and have a good time. You know, life's going to be fun.
I love it. I think it's a great, you know what? That's a great anything, like you said. But I will say it leans more toward dating, because if you just were talking to like some random person at a party and you start going down that road and it wasn't kind of flirty at all, the person would just be like, oh, that kind of sounds like you're like, yeah, it is friends. And they're like,
well, that's what I've been doing. That's what I've been doing.
Either do it to someone you're flirting with or someone you don't mind never seeing again.
I'm not going to go to a business brunch and start doing this, but you know what? For now, you go to a random bar, you go to a random party. I'm like, I'm not going to see these people again. Tonight, I'm a woman of many mysteries.
I like that. Many, many movies.
And if I would have been on Love is Blind, if I would have been in the pods,
Love is Blind is actually a great place to use that.
I would have done
fantastic.
that. You get in the pod right away and you start just ripping these stories. Can you imagine how entertaining that would be to watch as the audience, where you're like, I'm pretty sure this person is telling the plot of Star Wars. Using that as their sob story, and it is
like, I just can't trust my dad.
Story.
I didn't know he was my dad for years, and I was kind of working with him. We were like at odds, and then he cut my hand off. Like, what? With a lightsaber.
I was, living with my terrible, terrible aunt and uncle and cousin, and then I got this letter from an owl telling me about this school in Hogwarts, and I don't know.
Insane. Use it. I like it.
Anywho, that's my tip from Aunt Katie.
I love that. I think it's great.
That's a tip from Aunt Katie.
Listen, I don't know what it's like dating out there these days, but I would imagine it's very tricky. And you got to stick out. Think if you go to a bar and there's 200 people and everyone's talking to each other, how are you going to stick out? Mm-hmm. That's a great way to stick out.
That's the thing. Everyone start talking about that random person at the bar who's got a wild story. Everybody come listen to her story.
Exactly.
It's nuts.
It's Tatooine.
But should we get into this Love is Blind recapping? So everyone, family, today we are going over all 3 episodes of Love is Blind after the Altar season 4. We were going to break it up into 2, but you and I just kept watching them.
Yes.
We're like, I just want to cover all of it because I couldn't stop watching it. I was very excited to see what everyone was doing and how they were all interacting a year later. But with that being said, just as a heads up, this week we just have now this episode on Wednesday, and we're just going to be dropping Wednesday episodes just the next couple weeks because we got some behind the scenes stuff that we're doing and getting ready for as we then hit September, September, but the end of September when Love is Blind season 5 is starting and the Golden Bachelor and the Bachelor in Paradise and FY Island.
Mayhem.
We're going to be cranking out a lot and a bunch of episodes for you all. So we got some behind the scenes prep work. So Wednesday episodes for the next few weeks. And please stay tuned because we are going to be giving you all the information about what our upcoming schedule is going to look like now with all these new change of times with the Golden Bachelor and Bachelor in Paradise and all that, and when we're going to be dropping all of our episodes. But next week, we're going to be talking about Bachelor in Paradise, predictions, cast bio, going over all of that. And then the following week, the Golden Bachelor cast bio, which those trailers look amazing. Like,
so excited.
See, meeting all the women, I tried to it took everything in me to not be watching them deeply, but I tried to resist so that we could have a cast bio episode where I was seeing their faces for the first time, but I did get a sneak peek of a couple of the women, and I'm so excited.
I'm so excited.
So excited.
Unprecedented times.
I know. I can't wait. Okay. So, Love is Blind After the Altar season 4. It starts letting us know it's been 1 year since the pods.
Yes.
And family, everyone's still together.
It's insane. I don't understand.
What? Lee,
Like, how are these people?
You heard us recap this.
Yeah,
Can you
there's
believe
no way.
they're all still together? And not only are they still together, they seem like really happy.
Yeah, it is weird. You start to kind of go, wait a second, these shows are really messing with us.
You mean like just the editing
'cause
process?
They always make us think that like people hate each other or that it's like a misery situation. Now, let's be real. There are miserable people that have been together for 40 years. So
That's true.
this doesn't mean like, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't mean they're happy. It just means they are currently together. Right?
They seem happy though.
Certain couples seem happy.
Certain
really
couples seem happy.
happy.
Yes.
So I agree with that. But the same thing, like editing, like the same thing goes with just because you're together doesn't mean you're happy. And also editing can play with you to make us think that they were more miserable than they were. So you really never truly know.
I'm just going to say this. 100% you're right. The editing process is always a big thing. And I remember Chelsea and Kwame coming off of the season saying that they gave them a wild edit.
Yeah.
And made it look like Kwame was like SOS, not for me.
Although I do think Kwame and Chelsea, you can't edit around that. Like I have my thoughts about it a little bit. And at the end of the third episode, or not the end, but like during the football game, I think we were shown a little bit of, a vibe. So I don't know. I'm a little bit like, I have my thoughts. We'll get into it.
Interesting. But my thing was, it was like Brett and Tiffany, we were all like, duh, of course, soulmates, they're in love. If they don't last, I'm going to be devoed. So I wasn't surprised that Brett and Tiffany are still doing great and very much in love. But when all of a sudden Kwame and Chelsea popped up and they're still together and kicking, I was like, oh my God. And then Bliss and Zack.
Yeah, they seem to be the most in love.
Bliss and Zack are like in honeymoon phase.
Yeah.
These two are so in love with each other, at least is how it appears on screen.
Yes.
Because the last time we saw their marriage, it was so sweet at the end, but she did feel hesitant in so many ways. Obviously, there was the stress of like her dad questioning everything. And then she was like, well, you chose Irina and not me. And fully understandable. But now I'm like, she had like the hearts in the eyes.
Yeah.
We find out that Zack is delivering 1 hour to 2 hour long serenades to her.
That's a headlining show. That's a headlining show at an arena. That's how long that is. Actually, those are normally like an hour 20.
I was gonna say, like,
2 hours of serenading. There's no amount of love that could ever survive that.
That sounds pretty torturous.
Every hour, every minute of the serenade, the love is depleting from my tank. By 15 minutes, we're already half.
I was like,
an hour, there's no love left in my
I was
body.
literally just thinking, I was like, I think when I've seen some of my favorite headlining acts, it's been maybe 90 minutes, maybe, but not
and
2 hours.
Plenty. And that's your favorite artist of all time that like inspired you and changed your life as a child, not a guy you know.
And you're like, after 90 minutes, you're like, yeah, my feet are hurting. I'm ready to go home. That was great. They played the hits, loved it, awesome, ready to go home. Now you're like, oh no, you are home, and you still got 30 minutes left of this guy singing.
That's an interrogation tactic. Like a dark room, and then him singing to you. I'll tell you anything.
She said that he sings every single day.
Oh,
every single
She
day.
is an angel that she could put up with that.
100%, but also I think she seems to really like it. That's what I'm saying. There's someone for everybody. Some people out there love getting serenaded, apparently.
Yeah.
Up to 2 hours.
Yeah, you're probably. You know what this show really shows me is that people who have like who spend a lot of time with standards, like high standards, or they decide on the person they want.
Mm-hmm.
It shows you that like if you take that away, you really can find people. I don't mean in that way. I just mean in the. I just mean in this way.
I think some people are just for different people.
No. What I'm saying.
You wouldn't want me. You wouldn't be with me if I serenaded you 2 hours every single night. But
no. But more what I'm
You're
saying
not
is this.
blessed.
What I'm saying is that when you're in that experiment, your standards are kind of removed. You can't have a physical standard. You can't really have a like, immediate monetary standard. So you can't like see what kind of car they drove up in, or like you can't make judgments that you normally would. That would then
you're not meeting their friends right away.
You're not meeting their friends. You're not seeing how they're like. You're not like, oh, they're drunk at a party, and I'm seeing how they're crazy. Like you're just meeting a person pulled away of most standards.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so because of that, it allows you in, and it shows you how many people you could possibly fall in love with, but you keep from it because of all these things in the way. Because people go, oh, I want a person who does this, who makes this, who looks like this, right? People have that.
Sure, of course.
And which maybe you should, maybe you shouldn't. But I will say there's so many people out there, they're like, I can't find anyone. And then you see all these people meeting each other and they all like fell in love. And I'm going, you know what? The experiment is interesting.
But here's the thing though, maybe you can like fall in love in the pods that way. But the fact is they've stayed together for a year. Because
that's what I'm saying, but the love was developed before the judgments. That's more what I'm getting at.
Got it. Okay.
It's like, you know what I mean? Like it's very interesting. Cause like, yeah, there's no way. I feel like there's no way if Bliss met him just in person and was experiencing those type of things.
Like IRL at work or something.
No way they would have been together. No way. It was like that they fell in love without realizing, and then it's like, oh, you know what? Those things now become charming.
Yeah, because you're in love with the person.
Exactly.
I love
Which shows you that ick is very close to charm.
Well, the thing about that, I was
like,
actually talking to a friend about this the other day, that it's so dependent on how you feel in your chemistry with someone, because someone can do something that you find to be so icky if you don't have a crush on them. But then if you do have a crush on them singing to you might be like, oh my God, like so my charming. Heart. A friend of mine was talking about how recently a guy showed up with a huge bouquet of flowers and she wasn't really interested in him anyway. And then him showing up with a huge bouquet of flowers, she was like, yikes, this feels clingy and needy and I don't like it. Right. But I'm like, but if you would have liked the guy and he would have showed up with a bouquet of flowers, you're like, wow, this is a green flag. He's being thoughtful. He's thinking about me beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing though. I love you so much with every fiber of my being and bone of my body.
Thank you for that.
But if you sang at me for 2 hours, I don't know how I'd feel anymore.
No, there's nothing left. I'm super honest with you about that. If you sang at me for 2 hours, the love would be gone. It'd be over. I just would be like, man, I wish we could work this out.
You're like, you could do so many things to me that I would be patient with you through and push through for our love. But if you tried to sing at me for 2 hours.
That type of torture is just beyond repair. You can't come back from that. You truly can't. But some people like that stuff, I don't know.
Maybe we're just old curmudgeons.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Could you handle that, dude?
No. I mean, I don't even like getting happy birthday sung to me.
Right.
Like I had the best birthday a few weeks ago because like I was with a bunch of people and I didn't tell like anyone it was my birthday, but like it just so happened that it was like an ice cream and like pizza day, so I had everything you could possibly want in a birthday, but without being sung to and the attention. And it was glorious.
I really resonate with that. Nothing was more anxiety inducing than when you go out to dinner with your family when you were a kid and you saw everyone coming over to sing happy birthday. You're like, go, please God, no.
But then you got the Chelsea situation and she says her favorite time of year is her birthday.
Yeah.
So maybe we just don't have enough self-love. Maybe that's honestly the
maybe
issue.
that's what it is.
Maybe we have so much just self-deprecating hatred towards ourselves
Maybe.
that we can't even fathom that. But if you truly love yourself, then like someone singing to you is lit.
Maybe, because you know what I
Shit,
will
we just
say.
broke through. We are like, we're the problem.
No. We're definitely not the problem.
We're the
Because I will say
problem.
this, Instagram for Aunt Katie, who has so much self-love, every time she goes out, she always says it's her birthdays to get sung to every single time. So it's her birthday every week.
I like to frame it like I am very secure in my self-love and I don't need the external
Okay.
validation.
Oh, that's a
Oh, I
spin
like
zone
that.
I like.
That's why I'm here.
That's the spin zone the sad people like here.
I mean, the gloomy days, spin zone.
Yeah, I
Yes.
don't really like to be sung at. Yeah, I'm not a birthday person either. I'm trying to think what I like.
Cash.
Yeah, cash. Yeah, no, I mean,
Put some dollar bills in
praise.
that note.
praise is nice for
Yeah,
doing
you're-
something.
Yeah, you're
You
affirmation
do a good
guy.
job at something. Praise is nice.
You like that attention.
But to be sung at would be woof. Rough. Rough.
Well, they're loving it. Okay, but we start with Brett and Tiffany. And like I said, they're clearly just doing so well. They're so in love. And it is crazy to think about that it really has been a year. If
Yeah.
you soak that up, like a year is a long time being married to someone. Like
Yes.
that's a decent amount. This is not like a month later catch up, like post the show.
Right. You're in it. You've lived life now.
Yeah, and they are very much in love. It feels like the one thing that has been tough to a certain extent was that she chose to move to Portland to move in with him. But they were so sweet because they were talking about how it has been tough for her, but like he so appreciates her, being willing to make that sacrifice, and she's finding her new walks and
Yeah.
just kind of the new space. But it's tough to make those moves, man, when you're so used to something,
Yeah.
especially so quickly.
I sympathize with her because I do think if you uproot your life and you haven't found your vibe there,
Yeah.
that can be really hard, especially if you're like working full time and your person's like, cause I think she works from home. I want to say, I
don't
felt like I
remember.
remember seeing that in the
Yeah.
episodes. Could have been a COVID thing, but she works from home, I think. And so if you're stuck at home working and you're not vibing with when I take a break, I go on a walk and you used to really love where you were, that's really tough. You know what I mean? So the vibe I get is he's super grateful and she loves him and everything's good there. But the vibe I got was a little bit like, I love my person so much, so I'm at war with where we live, but I love this person so much.
And to make that move, especially too, when it's not like you started like your typical dating scenario where you meet someone and then maybe you do long distance for a while. It's like you met this person in the pods, you're married within a month, and then you right away move and you're in a new space and there's so much new happening at once. But, I feel like the thing about them, which I feel like we saw throughout the Love is Blind season, and then even on these 3 episodes, is that they seem to just have such good communication, though, that you're like,
Totally.
it's gonna be a little bit of a process just when you find your people in your space, like in the new place that you live. But I don't know, no,
their relationship seems rock solid. It's more just that vibe.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Because I've known a bunch of people that have been madly in love, moved somewhere, and then the other person's miserable, and then they got to leave after a while.
Yeah.
Right? It's hard to find a place that makes you feel at home.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of time to build that too. To find friends, find a routine, get into stuff, like it. That can take 5 years.
Yeah. No, you could tell when they were back in Seattle. She definitely missed Seattle.
Yeah, big time.
But I mean, the two of them together, it's just when they're it was like there are moments together when they're with the other couples, and when he's making that speech at the end, those two are just so
They're
mad
madly
for
in
each
love.
other.
Definitely.
They're so mad for each other. But again, I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised to see that. That was the couple that I was like, if they're not together anymore, I'm going to be real
no hope.
upset.
Yeah.
I'm going to be real bummed
That was not
out.
a shocker at all, obviously.
But I liked that they talked about the whole Portland move because
Yeah.
it was like a real window into a real relationship and what can be tough. in that.
Actual issues, yeah.
And then we have the Zack and Bliss moment where we see them for the first time. And like we said, these two are just obsessed with each other. The show made it look like we saw them going into a doctor's appointment, and the show tried to make it look like they were going in for potentially a pregnancy or something like that.
Yeah, I was thinking fertility was going to be, I thought it was like a fertility doctor or something.
Yeah.
That was the energy.
Yeah, they made it look that way. And then we end up finding out that they are going to a doctor because Zach has allergies to her animals, which I was like, which by the way,
There's levels too. There's allergies, and then there's go to a doctor and get shots for allergies level, which is like gnarly.
Which is love. Like,
yes.
You're like, I want to figure out a way to make this happen. I want to make sure that like your animals, you love them so much and they mean so much to you. I want to make sure that they're able to be in our home, because we found out that they had to take the animals and they were staying with her family or something.
While he kind of figured out how
While his like shots started to, come into place.
The thing about Zach is that he's so interesting to me because he's like wildly dedicated to his partner. Like the stuff he put up with Irina was insane, and he just kept pushing through until it got so bad that you can't even be a human being without like there's no human on the planet that could put up with it. And he finally cracked and was still kind of like chill about it. And then when he committed to Bliss, I'm blown away by how much this guy just like puts into his relationship. Like he doesn't hold back anything and he goes all in and he's not ashamed of who he is. Like I think that's what makes Bliss so in love with him is like feeling full dedication from someone to her. Like that's the energy I get is that I'm sure they have chemistry, they love each other, whatever. But I also think that you can overpower sort of any like initial issues with just being like fully dedicated. And he is fully dedicated, dude. He's getting shots. It's like something about the guy is just so like, he was like, when the football game happened, he was like terrified of her getting hurt.
Yes.
So he was wanting to restructure the entire game.
He was like,
in order to
we will change the structure of football.
in order to help her not maybe get injured. Like he's just all in. And I think it's got to feel good to be on the other end of that. Knowing 100%. That you are the sole focus and like your happiness and safety and like care is the sole focus of another person. That'll make you fall in
But
love.
I also then feel like there is a thing too where they like found like their person, because when they were walking into the doctor's office, it said like turtle room on the outside, and it was like a photo of a turtle, and they both had a moment where she was like, oh, turtle room, I love turtles. He's like, aren't they the best animal? They're so interesting, and they're having a full conversation about turtles, which was very sweet. But I was like, you found each other's person, because if I were to look at you and walk into a room and see a photo of a turtle and start telling you about turtles, you'd be like, what are you talking about turtles?
I wouldn't, to be honest with you, that's not far off of what you do. You as you were saying that, you were thinking to yourself, wait a second, I do that.
I was literally like, oh, if
You're
I
like,
would have
isn't
been
that
walking
crazy?
into a
And I'm
doctor's
like-
office, first of all, I would have been like, I am loving this doctor's office that they have like animals outside of their rooms instead of like room number 4. It's like the turtle room. I'm like, I am here for this.
Here's the thing though, as I analyze this, it's what makes interactions strange is not one person saying something. It's what the other person responds like. So let me give you an example.
Okay.
What makes it's like what makes anything funny. If you would walk in and go, wow, turtles, love turtles. And I were to respond and go, yeah, me too. Turtles are really great. You'd be like, that's weird. But I would be like, you like turtles, eh? Like, big turtle fan. That's now we're having a banter,
I think,
right? But
what made you're a grumpy crunch.
But what made
you just need to love turtles
but
more,
what made
and you need to
the
sit in
interaction
that.
between Zack and Bliss kind of funny and awkward is it he goes, yeah, turtles are great. And
Yeah,
you know
but that's
what
the
I'm
thing.
saying though? It's not who starts the thing, it's how you finish the
But
thing.
then she loves that.
That's what I'm saying.
And then let's talk about this. Talk about dedication. Listen, we were all out here. People initially were like, Zach with like his serenades. And of course, we have thoughts about the 2-hour-long serenades. But we end up finding out that the way that Zach let Bliss know that he was going to start taking the shots and be able to bring the animals back is that he apparently, she said, wrote her a long story, like a fantasy story about her 2 animals being telepathic and knowing that they were going to come home. And that's what I'm talking about. This man, we saw him on screen and we were like, I don't know what he's given for the camera. And if he's like, he's singing about a Blarney Stone and what's going on. Is he trying to like, try to get more cameras on him and have more airtime or what the deal is? This man, when they're alone and no one sees it, instead of saying, hey, I'm going to get shot so that you can bring your beloved animals back, this man is writing a full-blown fantasy novel that includes her animals and gives that to her.
Yeah. My nightmare, her dream. I love that. You know what I mean?
That
That's the
is
beauty of life.
dedication. What you're talking about,
that's
that
the
is dedication.
Like, dude, for me to write you a poem about bringing a dog back because I had allergies, Like that is what I love. Yeah, no, growl at me all you want. I know who I am. But that's what I'm talking about. Like thoughtfulness and dedication can truly overpower a lot. Mm-hmm. And I think he gives his partner that, and I gotta hand it to him.
But I think it was really, really special that I think it was so special that this man is out here wanting to make sure that she is reunited with her precious animals. I thought that it was so sweet to see that they're going through this journey together.
Yeah. No. I mean, I think personally, I think they're the most in love. I think Brett and Tiffany are super in love. Don't get me wrong. But because Zack and Bliss are so like eccentric in their love, I think it's like you can't get more locked than that. Like you can't like, and you see them look at each other and talk, and it's like that's some next level shit right there.
Evan, this isn't a love competition.
It's a love absolutely, it's a love competition. That's all this is.
There isn't someone who's more in love. Okay, everyone's just in love.
I'm the judge of who's most in love.
Well, then we have Kwame and Chelsea.
Yes.
And these two, again, I mean, color me surprised. These two are what?
Is that a thing? Color me surprised?
I don't know.
Color me mine? Color me surprised? Okay, so these two are
still together. And I have to tell ya, it's another one of those moments where when I think back on our original feelings, I felt like we were really right. Mm-hmm. Our original feelings were when these two were in the pods, we were like, they are meant to be together.
Yeah.
Okay. That was our declaration. We're like, these two are both going to every Tony Robbins conference. You know, they are hyping each other up. It is so over the top, you know, ice baths every day, helping each other get dressed in the evening, wanting to match with their outfits, all of this. That's what we thought. And then when there was like the Kwame hiccups and everything, where we're like, oh, maybe he hates her. We're not sure what's going on. I think a lot of that really was the editing. Mm-hmm. And maybe just dramatizing just their arguments or focusing on just their disagreements instead of all the time that they had together. Because in this After the Altar series, it seemed so clear to me that these two, in my opinion, are also meant to be together. They are like the same person to me, essentially, in the way that like when she's getting changed, she's just like, check this out. Oh my God, like look at how hot I look. And then he's like, yes, baby, you look so hot, gorgeous. And then he does a swap and she's like, oh my God, let me see that body. Oh yeah, look at how hot you are. I mean, they are literally like each other's cheerleaders. They're both competitive. They're both each other's cheerleaders. I just feel like they're meant to be together.
Yeah, they're meant to be together. But what is weird, or not weird, but like, you know what's, I was just analyzing their like conversations whenever they are with people. So like they had the dinner thing when everyone was together, and everyone talks normal. Mm-hmm. You know, they're like, oh yeah, we had a great time doing this. We had a great time doing that. Oh, you know, I've been up to this lately. This is what I'm up to. And then anytime anyone asks them what they're up to, they speak in a way like they're writing a motivational book.
Well, but that.
So everyone goes, hey, we should go to like, we've been going to the park lately. It's been really fun. And then they go, what have you guys been up to lately? You know, for us, finding a space to own our power, to own our identity has been absolutely essential to grow.
So I'm saying they're meant to be.
So soccer for him, what it allows him to do is to be grounded. And everyone's like, what are you I just wanted to know what you did over the weekend. Like, can you stop with the platitudes? Like, everything is like a motivational quote. It's like, oh, so how you guys been doing together? And then like another couple would be like, it's been hard, you know, because we moved to Oregon and I'm not really comfortable in Oregon, but he works here and we love each other very much. And they're like, for us, love is much more than your surroundings. It is a foundational and you're just like, what are you even saying?
But that's...
So we never even really hear... And then that's why I love Kwame, because every once in a while, he'll just be like, yeah, and it's a bit of compromise. You know what I mean? Like, he leaks... He can't really hold it together as well as she can. You know what I mean?
But that's why I think they're meant to be. I really do. Yes, he has those moments. But I do have to say, during that dinner, I did feel like there were moments where we did see realization on Chelsea's end where she was like, I think now I'm understanding what you meant when you were talking about the traveling piece. I was taking it a different way. And she says even later when she had one of her birthday parties with her family where there were like 100 Chelseas in attendance, her family is just 100 Chelseas. They were all together and she was like, I don't think I realized how hard this was for everyone else. I feel like there was kind of a bit of a light bulb moment for her in a few areas where it was like, oh, I'm seeing now how other people felt in this journey. It was hard for my family. It was hard for your family. Right. It was hard for you because you were thinking about wanting to travel more.
It's like the realities of the situation as opposed to just the like clips.
Yeah, it was the reality of the situation aside from like Chelsea's feelings about Kwame. It was like, yeah, you can feel all you want to feel and be as passionate as you are, but like the reality is horned up as you want to be. But the reality is this is going to be difficult for everyone else involved. And especially if there is, time where you are having to make sacrifices and all these things. But they, by the way, everyone had like their little clips of like, either eating out at dinner or, at the doctor's office or whatever. And they were going because they were going to a baseball field because she was throwing out the first pitch at a Mariners game.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
I think so. And that was literally another moment where I was like, these two are destined for one another because the way that they were acting about her throwing out a pitch, it was like she was about to win the Nobel Peace Prize.
It truly was. It was like she was selling her company for $200 million. It was like, you go out there.
He had her by the shoulders and he was looking into her eyes with so much love. And he was just like, baby, you breathe. You know who you are. This is the moment you've been waiting for. And she's like, yes, baby. Yes, baby.
No, and she was no. She was crying. She started crying. And I was like, enough. That's too far. Crying about the first pitch, not because you're nervous, but because you're so inspired by the speech he's giving you. Again, it's way too many conferences. Way too many conferences. It's too many like books about motivation, about couples, about empowerment. It's way too. You've lost touch of like what being a human is because you've just read about being a human. You know what I mean? And like they're just walking like. Honestly, I don't know if this is the case, and I feel like it's more her than him. She seems to just be like absolutely fine with like operating on that just like
the conference level.
Mm-hmm. He seems to be like someone who's adapted it and done a really good job adapting it, but definitely like, he kind of has his moments where like, oh, I don't think I could take another like positive talk, like the fact, like I guarantee you before that clip of him talking to her in the hall, she said to me, come on, give me a pep talk.
Oh, probably. She's like, I need a pep talk from you, babe.
Like, for the pitch you're gonna throw, like before anyone ever shows up to the arena, and she's like, yeah. He's like, oh, okay. You've always been an inspiration. You know what I mean? And it's just like, it's a little bit much. And the one thing I love Chelsea. I think she's like a really great person. This is no judgment on her as a person, but I will say Kwame is an amazing person to be able to keep up with that energy. Because that energy is exhausting from this angle. Like, dude. I love motivational stuff. I read some books sometimes. I get motivated. I get some new ideas. Totally. I read them every single day for 4 hours a day.
Like, what are you talking about?
Okay, don't blow my cover here, okay? I'm a big motivation guy. But what I'm saying is like when it's your personality, that is a lot of energy to consume and to like be around.
It's a lot of energy. Yeah.
Like she'll walk into a room or like she'll be at the bar and the people that she saw 1 hour ago at the football field walk into the room and she's like, what's up? And she like runs over like she hasn't seen him in 2 years. And it's like that type of energy is like, you got to be ready. If I'm hungover, I cannot hang out with Chelsea. I cannot be anywhere near the zip code of Chelsea.
But if you wanted to feel good about yourself.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Exactly. I got to give it to her.
No, she
seems like she'd be
self-love at the highest level.
But I feel like she'd be a great friend. If you're having a rough day, you call Chelsea and Chelsea comes over and kicks your ass and tells you who you are.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. 100%. Don't get me wrong. This is again, no judgment on her. She's amazing. But if I'm hungover, the last person on the planet I could hang out with is Chelsea because I can't handle that shit.
I think it's kind of funny because we find out that Chelsea and Kwame are BFFs now, like really, really close with Zack and Bliss, to the point that when they travel, they just get one room and each couple shares, or each couple sleeps in a queen bed. And they had like photos of them all cozied up next to each other. So they're now like this couple, these two couples are together 24/7, besties for life. And
should we start like a swinging rumor? Because I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. You're over 30 years old and y'all are sleeping in the same room. Maybe it was a one-time thing.
I was saying I'm
Maybe
all about it.
thing.
I'm all about it when we're talking about saving money here. I'm like, let's save that money, honey.
Sure.
But if it's just more like we love to spend time together, I'm like, God bless. Where
experimental.
Where I got a giggle was that they said for their 6-month anniversary that they all got together and spent their 6-month anniversary together. And they were like, Brett and Tiffany, they wanted to come, but they couldn't because they were in Portland. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure maybe Sweet and Brett and Tiffany didn't want to hurt your feelings and say absolutely no. But my guess is they probably wanted to spend their 6-month anniversary alone.
Also, there's no such thing as a 6-month anniversary because the word is anniversary, annual, yearly.
Says the man.
6-month anniversary is for people who are 21 years old.
I was going to say, but says the man
I used to do it, but I was also 21.
You would for every single month we'd be dating.
Shit.
Every single month that we'd be dating, you'd give me a gift
because
on our
I'm
next
fucking
month.
sweet, okay?
1-month anniversary.
Don't blow my cover here.
14-month
Stop
anniversary.
blowing my cover here.
15-month
Stop
anniversary.
blowing my cover here. But also, I was young, okay?
No, okay.
But if you're
Evan,
30 years old, 6-month anniversary, don't you think to go on trips? I mean, that's a bit much.
I'm going to fight you on this one because you
if it's a reason to go on a trip, sure. But to be like,
Evan, think about the scenario that they're in. Okay, of course they're celebrating their 6-month anniversary. They met on a reality
Semi-anniversary.
TV. They met on a reality TV show in pods. I would be celebrating every week that we were still together. Okay,
100%.
Let's be real here. Okay, so let these people celebrate their 6-month anniversary.
I'm not saying they shouldn't. I'm more saying the way they talk about it is like it was a thing that's normal. They talked about it like we did our 10-year, like we did our 6-month. You know what I'm saying? Like 30.
I think I understand them celebrating their 6-month anniversary, but I would imagine that Tiffany and Brett celebrated their 6-month anniversary alone.
Yeah.
Alone.
See, we know people like this. We know people that are like friends first over together when it comes to like special occasions. And it's very interesting. It is kind of like a personality type. And it's not wrong or right. But the people who are like, we want to celebrate our special things with other people.
With a community.
It's very, certain people are like, oh, our anniversary, your birthday, we're going to go on a little trip. And then certain people are like, no, it's always with friends. Oh, anniversary, yours is kind of close. Let's combine. It's interesting.
Yeah, you and I are loners. I'm like, we're celebrating an anniversary. I don't care if it's our 45th, our 43rd anniversary. Like,
Right.
we're celebrating it alone.
Right.
Now our child would be like, yes, we
Maybe.
have the kiddo.
We'll see if she's around, But yes, it is funny.
But then later in the episode, we do get their year anniversary, by the way, that then the three couples, Brett and Tiffany, come in from Portland, and the three couples get to have that dinner together.
Mm-hmm.
And God, the dinner was set up. It was so stunning.
Yes, beautiful.
They really threw a gorgeous dinner for them. But then they were all reunited and had their moments together, and we got a little picture into more what's going on with their lives. But those were the three married couples. Okay, then we end up seeing Micah.
Yeah.
First, we see Micah. Now, I will say this: there was a lot of drama with Micah and Paul after the airing of the season. A lot of them talking about the other person on social media in a negative way. And then a month later being like, we always will love each other. And then we were finding out that they dated for a little bit after the show and they broke up. It seems very on again, off again. So I really wasn't sure where their relationship was at now. Well, we see Micah and she is waiting for someone at a restaurant, and I was assuming it was going to be Irina. I'm like, it's not going to be Paul.
Sure.
I was guessing it was going to be Irina. Well, she is in fact waiting for Elizabeth, Paul's mom.
Yeah.
Paul's mom.
That's
who
crazy.
is her twin.
Right. They connected like crazy when they first met during the season and everything.
But I have to tell you, I am shocked this is another couple that I'm shocked about, because the vibe that I was getting from Paul's mom was that she was like, if you hurt my son, your head will be on a platter energy. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, when these two end, she's going to be like, I'm turning on my twin, Micah. I will never speak to her again. Paul is my king. Paul is my love. He's my mushroom god, energy from mama. Well, in fact, Paul's mom was quite the opposite. Micah was like, well, Paul's mom and I, we talk on the phone like every day and we love each other. And even if Paul and I aren't together, I just love having her in my life. And then she tells her, I really want to be respectful to Paul. And if this is weird, and Paul's mom is like, I don't care if it's fucking weird. That's his problem.
Mom was on a purely selfish pursuit this entire episode. She's like, I don't care about my son's happiness. I don't care about your happiness. I want you two to be together so that I can have my best friend. Like, that was the purest form of like a selfless parent who is just like, or selfish parent who's just like, no, I don't care where or if you get married or who you get married. Just get married in Bali because it's my favorite place to go. Like, that was basically her mom. It was just like, I have a bestie. If you don't marry her, we're gonna have an issue.
Like, Elizabeth, Paul's mother, wants to party with Micah. She wants Micah to take her out on the town. She wants to be out getting a little martini with Micah, and for some cute boys to come up and be like, is this your sister?
Yes.
Like, this is the dream.
Yes. She wants to hang out with Shelby and Irina and do like this kind of, we're mean girls and you can't sit with us boys.
The
like,
girl gang.
Yeah, that's what she wants. That's what she wants.
100%.
She's single and she's like, jonesing for a crew.
Yeah, and you know what? Shout out to her. You know what I mean? She wants to go out and she wants to party. And I want that for Paul's mom. I really do. Now, the problem is when you're like trying to force the relationship, you can still stay besties with Micah. You know what I mean? Like she says, which, by the way, I did like that part. I liked the part where mom was like, I found my friend and he's a grown man who decided to say no to you. And if he has a problem with us being friends, that's on him.
Yes.
She literally is like, I've always said this for forever. Boys are stupid. It's like, shout out to Paul.
Listen.
And I liked that. I was like, listen, she found someone that she really likes, and Micah really is connected with her too. And I'm like, God bless their relationship. Where it got a little funky was when she then was spilling the tea to Micah, when Micah was like, yeah, Paul and I still have been talking, and I don't know where we're at, and we did see each other the other day. And then Paul's mom was like, well, not to be the bearer of bad news, but he is seeing someone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oof.
But I gotta hand it to mom for doing that. She didn't have to say that.
I know. I'm glad she said
didn't
that
have to
to
bring
her.
it up. That was really strong of her. So I have a take on this. Tell me if I'm crazy, but I think Micah was heavily influenced, or not heavily influenced, but like when she was around Irina, it really became mean girl vibes. Personally, once we've seen Micah outside of the pods, I kind of always felt like she's not nearly as bad as we thought she was.
Agreed.
She kind of seems to be sweet and cool and like never seems to rock the boat too much, and then she got wrecked by Paul, and like we kind of walked away. Everyone walked away being like, "Ooh, that was kind of a shitty move by Paul." And Irina, or Micah seems to be still attached to Paul and kind of seems to be sweet and blah blah blah. Here's one thing I will say that I think is the differentiating factor why Micah gets under so many people's skin. Like Chelsea's skin, obviously they had a thing. Well,
that's the Kwame situation,
but
yeah.
I feel like she does these little things that, like hanging out with Paul's mom. I think it'd be one thing too if they dated for 5 years, they were married, then they got divorced or they separated, and then they kept the relationship. She met her once, maybe a couple times through the whole process, right? And then instead of going, it's kind of weird for me to be like hanging out with my like ex's mom of like 2 months who's not my age, who's my ex's mom, and then it might put an awkward situation between me and him. And like, I don't know, there's just, and then later on when we see that she moved back to Seattle, like there's just certain things where it's like, I don't know how to put it into words, but she has a way of like innocently doing shit that would drive people crazy.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Well, I do have to say though, when she was sitting with Paul's mom, she was saying numerous times, but she was saying numerous times. She was like, I don't want to like keep this relationship going. But she was like, I don't want to keep this relationship going if it's gonna,
But she was still doing it, and that's more what I'm getting at. It's like she seemed like on paper super nice, nothing wrong, but she seems to kind of be the person that like would just buy the same dress you have
for prom
and kind of look better in it, and then just be like, oh, it's crazy. Yeah, like you have such good style. I just thought I just was so inspired by you that I got the same dress. And you're like that's a nice way to put it, but you fucked me. You know what I mean? Like you know what I'm saying? Like there's something about her that like she'll just do these little moves where you're just like, oh, during the dating season, like I just pulled Kwame aside to tell him that like we're good. Yeah. And it's like, no, now you got Kwame back into you. And it's is everything kind of got these ulterior motives? I don't know.
Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying. And, I thought over towards the end of the season and then also in these episodes, I felt like she was handling most everything super well and being very gracious. But, at the end of the day, I'll stick by, when I see someone who all the friends are saying some rude stuff under their breath, I'm like, that's a red flag.
They're a reflection of you.
Those are your besties.
You seem like everything's cool, but all your friends are the worst.
Yeah, I gotta stick by that where I'm like, that's some serious red flags.
Yeah.
But okay, she though ends up finding out that info from Paul's mom.
Yeah.
And Paul's mom is just like, yeah, he takes after his dad in communication.
Oof.
And so then we see
that dick I don't talk to anymore that I was divorced from, like that's what he's like. It's like, okay, mom's getting a little loose on a lunch Sunday.
Well, and then we see mom with Paul, and Paul is talking about how the new girl that he's seeing is supportive of all of his hobbies, and he felt like Micah just put up with them. And mom is just like, I'm going to tell you about how Micah is the best for you. And, if you need to beg. She goes, begging goes a long way. If you were to show up at Micah's door, bended knee, flowers, chocolates, I think she would go back to you, like beg for her. And Paul was just telling her about this new girl that he's seeing. And she's just like, la, 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 la,
yeah,
la,
he's like, she's great. She loves all my hobbies. She loves to travel. Micah didn't like any of that. And then she's like, blah, 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 blah. You should go back with her because she's better than you'll ever have, and we're besties.
All I could think about was if I was the new girlfriend watching this episode, I'd be like, okay, I mean, I guess I'll never be Micah, so like it's never gonna be a tight relationship because she's always gonna want to have her bestie there. Like she's gonna always hate me.
Micah's gonna be coming to dinner, and the issue is that Micah is the type that would show up to Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, probably.
While Paul's there with his new girlfriend, because mom invited her. And she's like, we're just friends. Paul, can I talk to you for a sec? That's more what I'm saying.
Totally.
It's just those little things where it's like.
Now, we had a moment where Paul says that she basically, oh, by the way, mom also says like, well, just so you know, Micah is, she moved back to Seattle. So now she's here. And Paul had said before that like Micah wanted to call it quits in their relationship because they weren't living in the same place. But now she's in Seattle and mom's like, listen, she's going to have no problem. She's going to find the creme de la creme of men to date. Like you better get your ass, working over here to get her back. And Paul ends up saying that his mom said to him on the wedding day, anything other than a yes is a no. And so when Micah said go first, that he was thinking about that wasn't a yes. Here's my thoughts with Paul. And I know I'm jumping to the last episode of this little series, but Paul, sorry everybody. I said first episode, I'm like, Paul gives me player vibes. I think Paul is a total player. And then I went back on my word. I did that a lot during Love is Blind. Like, I feel like I had my initial impressions and I think I feel pretty good about them now. But then as the season continued, I was like, oh, I guess I'm wrong. And I'm like, Paul's the Mushroom King. And I think I just was misreading it. I'm going to go back to what I felt in the first place. And I will say, I believe Paul is a player. The dynamic between the two of them, especially then when Micah ended up sitting him down at the very end and was like, listen, I heard that you're seeing somebody and I'm feeling a little weird because by the way that we've been talking and seeing each other and you never mentioned this person, like I was confused as to where we were at. And then Paul's response is, yeah, I felt that way multiple times in our relationship, which is a dig. And then he ends up basically saying to her that you can have love for someone and then you can be in love with somebody, which makes it seem at first like I'll always have love for you, but I'm not in love with you. But then he throws in this comment like, you know, and it's always been a what if with us and maybe we'll see. And then when she tells him, I can't have a friendship with you right now because it's just too much for me. I felt the way she handled that was super mature. I think she did what she needed to do in that situation and cut it off and be like, this has been confusing for me. She didn't blow up at him and go, you're dating somebody now and you didn't tell me and we've been texting and seeing each other. She didn't blow up. She was so chill about it. And then he's leaving it always open. And he's like, oh, you don't want to be friends anymore. And then when she cuts it off, he's like, I think we'll come back around. And he just keeps giving her this bait. And I obviously know there was tons of drama that went on between the two of them. And I don't know all the details about it and, you know, who was saying what and doing what. But in this situation, what I'm seeing is a guy who wants to have his cake and eat it too. And he's not committing to Micah, but he's stringing her along constantly. And then he's got this other girl that he's seeing and he's talking about her, but he's thrown out those lines to Micah and he's not happy when she wants to end their friendship because he wants to have that door open.
100%.
And when he's on the football field with Amber, he's been flirting with, I mean, this man, he's a player.
Yes, I agree 100%.
He's a Mushroom King player.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's all her fault at all. I think he's a big player.
I 100%. I'm going to stand by that. After watching this, I'm like, Paul is out here. He wants to keep all the windows and all the doors open.
I think he's that way in life across the board. He's a little AI. You know what I mean? He's
sure.
a little like, it's just highly analytical. It's not like he's going with his heart. He's just kind of like, well, you know, I don't like the idea of having this. And we always want to have options. And, you know, that's his vibe. They're both like, you know, got their things that I think cause each other to trip up. And, you know,
yeah, for sure.
Not shocking it didn't
But
work out.
I'm just like, okay, Paul, like that whole dynamic when she was trying to be like super gracious and be like, no, we're done. And he's just trying to let that door be open a little bit so he can kind of sneak back in there when he needs a moment of affirmation to get his flirt on and know
100%.
that Micah will always be there.
100%. Yep.
Just had to say that. Okay. And then we had Jackie and Josh. Jackie and Josh, they are still together. In fact, they are moving in to each other's apartment, or they're getting an apartment together, excuse me. They were on a Ferris wheel together that was going very fast. He was throwing food at her. You know, Evan and I, when we were watching this, we were having a disagreement because I feel like I sense tension in the relationship. This was the only couple that's still together to me that I was like, I don't see this being a permanent situation personally. God bless, you know, whatever. But like, I feel tension, and you felt like he was kind of putting on kind of a tough guy exterior. Yes?
I feel, this is just my guess, I think she has a confusing attraction to guys who are sweet in their soul, but who like put on that they're these tough guys. That's the energy I get. Marshall was just pure sweet. So then she always kind of said to him, boss up, boss up, boss up, trying to get him to be more like
I do what I want.
I do what I want guy. So then he would kind of try, you know, and it would kind of be awkward. And then she'd be like, oh, that was a little cringe. They broke up. Josh hits me like a guy who is also very sweet in his soul, but has spent a long time trying to be a tough guy. Because the reason, here's why I bring this up. I don't mean tough guy. I mean, I'm trying to use the word of like quietly strong and like doesn't have to try. Like Brett's a good example. Josh hits me as someone who's like very performative.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like he'll like throw stuff or he'll tease her in a way that just is like, you could tell that she's not even buying it. You know what I mean?
Right.
He'll like say a bunch of stuff like, well, you know, I'm the most romantic, or I'm the biggest like badass in the room or something. You know what I mean? And like, no one's really buying it. Like, and because when he's down to himself, like in the sports situations and stuff, he's loud and fun and kind of like bubbly and like, you know what I mean? You could see him kind of come at it, like
cut
be
loose,
his normal self for a second. And then when she's around, he kind of sinks back into like, I'm tough.
Okay.
So it's kind of weird. I feel like she doesn't know what she wants. She likes the sensitivity, but she also loves the tough guy. And so she's kind of like, I don't know. It's an interesting thing that, like, to me, Josh and Marshall, super close. Just one practiced a certain like personality type almost.
Interesting. Okay.
That's the energy I get.
Okay.
Because then you even saw when the whole thing happened at the end of the episode, Josh came in and was like talking to Marshall. He's like, dude, it's like struggling, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like,
I was like, you're going to talk to Marshall about your
and
drama?
that's a Marshall move. Marshall would have come in and been like, man, I was struggling with this situation. You know what I mean? Like, he always did that. So I don't know. I just feel like there's a little bit of performance going on with Josh in general.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Cause I was with their relationship, I was feeling like I couldn't tell if they were being playful. There was like this part of me where I'm like, are they being playful? But I felt like tension. I felt tension. Like, I'm like, you know, they gave me the vibe that like, when they're good, and when they're not good, they're not good. Like, there's a lot of art. I don't know. That was just the vibe that I got.
To reiterate my point, when she left Marshall, she was like, dude, so much drama. It's so over the top. Like, it's too much for me to handle. The last night with Josh, when everything went down, so much drama. I'm so tired. This is too much. She said the exact same thing to Marshall when they broke up.
Interesting.
Too much drama. I'm just tired. I just can't do this anymore. It's just too exhausting being around you.
Interesting.
That's my take.
All right. Well,
and it's cutting edge.
All right. Well, we'll get into that dynamic with the Josh, Jackie, and then Monica piece in a sec, because that was very interesting to me because I have thoughts on that. But then we see Marshall, and Marshall gets together with Brett and Tiffany, and we meet Marshall's new girlfriend, Shay, and he says they've been dating for almost a year.
Yeah.
Which means that they started dating really soon after the show ended.
Yeah.
So he's been with her for a long time. Marshall is like, she is the one. I'm absolutely in love with her. We don't really get to know her.
I wanted to talk to her because Marshall's a fall in love with you overnight and ready to marry you guy. You never really know what's really going on until you talk to the other person.
So I was like, he's such a love bug that I'm like, okay, I want to hear from Shay and like see like where she's at with their relationship.
He was saying the same thing about Jackie, and she was like miserable and hated him, and he was like, she's the one, man. He was talking to Brett, being like, this is the one, man. Absolutely, we're madly in love, and she's obsessed with me. And then like cut to Jackie being like, yeah, I can't stand him. Like, I'm in hell. So we need to talk to Shay to really know what's going on.
No, totally. Because then even when he was talking with Brett and telling Brett about like how he feels about Shay, Brett was being such a sweet, supportive friend. But you could tell in like the twinkle in his eye, he was like, that's wonderful, Marshall.
He's like,
like
we know
I love
that the
to hear
show's
it.
going to cut to Shay, and Shay's going to be like, yeah, he's been really nice. We've gone on 3 dates, and it's been like a chill couple months.
He said they've been dating for a year almost. So obviously it's going well. They're together. So blessings to them. Then off of Marshall, we then end up having a conversation with Jackie and Keisha. So Keisha was someone in the pods who then we find out that her and Jackie were super close, and that Keisha since has been like a really amazing friend, buying her flowers, checking in on her. And they start talking about when Jackie sees Marshall, and Jackie's like, I'm going to say hi. It'll be all good. Like, whatever. It is what it is. We find out that she's blocked Marshall, so they haven't spoken. And then Keisha said that she's blocked Marshall as well, saying that he's this man's apologizing every single month. And I was like, I haven't been following, so I'm like, is there been drama going on? Is he apologizing to the public all the time? But we then find out that Keisha was the one who dated Marshall for a bit afterwards. So then we saw the throwback of the reunion where Keisha's name was brought up, and she said she didn't expect him to bring up her name, and he said it was one date. And then she's explaining that bothered her because she's like, it was more than one date. We were talking back and forth. She wasn't trying to like, hook up with one of her friends' guys, but they had been talking in the pods. They had a connection in the pods, so she kind of followed up with him to check in on him. And she's like, listen, it felt like more than one date. We were going back and forth a bunch, but clearly that ended. So she maybe blocked him. So again, I don't know if the apologies, she was saying like, maybe there was always public drama going on and he was always apologizing to the public for stuff that was going on, or if he was like constantly just apologizing to her and she was like over it. I don't know. But
Jackie's been problematic. But the one thing I will say that I liked about her in this moment was that she was like, yeah, totally cool for you to date him. Like,
yeah, sure.
she was, you know what I mean? Like, there wasn't like a weird territorial vibe there of like, well,
No.
most people wouldn't be cool with that. They'd be like, what do
Yeah.
you mean you're one of my best friends and you're going to try to date the guy I just broke up with?
Yeah.
The fact that she was cool with it, I was like, you know what? I like that move.
Sure.
I like that
And
move.
it seems like Keisha just has been an amazing friend to her after the show when there was a lot of heat on Jackie.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Also, we have a moment with Bliss and Amber. So Bliss and Amber are talking. They're shopping together. And Amber was the one who was connected to Paul that Paul broke up with in the pods.
Yes.
Amber talks about how she's moving to San Diego. And she then said that she met a guy at a music festival and it went well, and then is maybe moving there. And I'm like, it didn't seem like they were.
I was just like, you met a guy at a music festival, you talked a couple times, now you're moving there. It gave me a little bit of a weird vibe. Like, all I could see was him watching the show and being like, what? Like we talked twice and I'm already dating someone else. Like, what do you mean you're moving
That's
here
what I'm saying.
for me?
I couldn't quite read.
Or he's sitting there with his girlfriend and be like, I don't know, I just was like talking to you at the party.
like,
Like,
oh,
it wasn't like a big
no,
deal.
no.
Like, and now
No.
all of a sudden my girlfriend's watching this and
It was one of those things where I'm like, I couldn't read if like maybe it was actually like she met him at a music festival and then it's developed into a relationship.
Yeah.
So she's moving out there. But because there wasn't a lot of detail, I was like unclear. And then she says that Paul and her wouldn't have worked out if he chose her. But then later at the football game, later at the football game, I will say she went up to Paul and she was like, so I saw that you're thinking about moving to San Diego. And he's like, yeah, I've been considering it. She's like, I'm moving to San Diego. And then I was like, is Amber moving to San Diego for Paul?
And Amber's like, we should get married. I mean, we should, I don't know, like maybe we'll hang out once or something stupid.
Because she made this statement about meeting a guy at a music festival and it didn't seem like it was an official relationship, but that she was moving. But then she was like, we find out that Paul's brought up that he's going to be looking into San Diego. I was like, I feel like Amber might still like Paul.
Oh, still like Paul? Yes. I mean, that's like the most low level take on him on that situation ever. She's burying the lead in a guy she met at a music festival.
Maybe she's really dating the guy from the music festival and maybe she really wants to move to San Diego. But the way that it was presented was a little bit like, I feel like maybe she still really likes Paul.
Yeah, because when she met him on the field, she was like, so you're going, right? And we're going to be best friends, right? And you're moving? When are you moving? What's happening? What's your address? You got to admit, it was like very, like if I was talking to someone who was saying all those things to me, I'd be like, okay, we're probably not going to hang out in San Diego because this sounds like a lot. But when you got that like thing, you know, when you really like someone, you can get a little zzz.
Yeah, you're a little bit like maybe our love can form in San Diego and we'll
Absolutely.
be away from
She's like, here's a mushroom, you know, like she was,
to the mushroom.
yeah.
Okay, I know we've talked about it a bunch already, but the football game.
Yeah.
So Zack and Bliss, you know, quote unquote, come up with the idea that everyone should be united via this flag football game because of some fantasy football league they were doing. It was unclear to me if it was with the Pod Squad people. They'd done a fantasy football league. I'm not sure. But they're like, let's bring everyone together, play this flag football game, and just kind of
So
hash
fake,
out.
by the way, when he was like, I have an idea. What if we did a flag football game together? And it was like, and then they went to the football game and it was like this completely branded event. It was like, are you kidding me? Like the biggest plant ever by the show ever was having him being like, oh, I had an idea. Let me brainstorm with you guys. Starting tomorrow, I have fully branded everything with banners, a rented field, everything.
But I
Ready
feel
to
like
start
Zach-
tomorrow. I don't know. Do you guys want to play maybe?
But
It
I
was
feel like Zach
so
did take it
ridiculous.
seriously because he was like, well, this is now my game.
Yes.
Because he was, like you said, recreating the rules to protect Bliss and have
Yeah.
her not get hurt. And he was showing up first and making sure everyone was set up that way, even though Brett was like, listen, I have done a full game plan with Tiffany. Like, we
Yeah,
already have the
totally.
teams figured out. And Zach is a little bit like, I don't think it should be 5-on-5. I think it's got to be 3-on-3. But they made too much of this football game. Normally, I like the way that Love is Blind is structured, but this was so random. I'm like, a flag football game? I liked afterwards when they went to the bar and then they were all talking and had Chelsea's birthday party, you know, a reunion of Chelsea's birthday party. That's great. But like the flag football game, it just felt so strange to me.
I agree, but I do disagree in the fact that I think it was a good move.
Okay.
It differentiated from like the normal dinners and the bars. By the way, this show, all they do is have meetings in breweries, okay? If I see another goddamn brewery, I'm going to lose my shit. All they do is go to breweries. Drives me nuts. It's like, first of all, who drinks IPAs anymore? So breweries, that's not even a thing. Second of all, it's the least interesting thing ever to be like, and let's have another after party at a brewery in Seattle. It's like, God, it's like going, you know what I'm saying? It's like every fucking hang is in a brewery. And it's like, and then there's nothing going on there. And that's what drives me crazy is it's like, go to a place where they're doing something. And so that is actually what I liked about the football game.
Okay.
Is it created like an activity or something that was flipping the script and creating a different energy. Because if you're moving your body and like tackling or something, you're going to like say some different things or create a different energy. You go to a brewery and everyone's the same shit. You just walk in and you go, hey, and then you sit there and you go, I know, isn't it crazy? And you just sit there at the bar and then some guy with a beard is serving you beer. Like it's the same shit every time. So for me, I actually liked the football game. And another reason why I loved the football game is because we got the Chelsea Micah moment.
True.
Which to me
was wild.
Was incredible because we've seen Chelsea crack only a few times, and the only person to crack Chelsea is Micah.
Yeah.
Chelsea is Tony Robbins, just like
2.0. Yeah.
Just like there is no energy that can bring me down because energy is a pathway to success. You know, like she's got all the things lined. But when she's around Micah, she becomes like a jealous girlfriend, which we fucking love because it's interesting. So when that scenario went down, I would keep the whole football game just for
that moment
because it was just Micah comes over and just goes, I want to connect with you. You're a great person.
I think you guys are so cute together.
You guys are incredible together. I feel like we haven't been able to connect as friends because of this, this, and this. And Chelsea goes, oh, okay. You can tell Chelsea's literally not even looking at her at the beginning. She's watching the game and she's going, okay. Which was such a tell that conversation was forced by producers. There's no fucking way that Chelsea was sitting there and then Micah came over to say hi.
No,
that was
trust and
forced as
believe.
shit.
Chelsea is on the very edge of the field chanting for Kwame as he is absolutely destroying the competition.
Came over and said, can you guys have a conversation? And Chelsea's like, oh, fine. So because she sits down and she's like this. Like if you're Micah, she's not even looking at her. She's just and Micah's just like, hey, I just want to let you know. Like it seemed like, you know, oh, she's being really sweet and connecting. But then she's doing the thing. Oh, I just moved back into town. And then Chelsea goes, you know what? I think this is a horrible town to date in. I don't think your partner's here. And she goes, where do you think my partner might be? She goes, I don't know, Brazil or somewhere fucking far away. And then she literally said something like, why don't you just fucking move? Like Chelsea was like, I figured it all out and you're moving back to make our life hell because I know you're going to reach out again. I know you're going to be posting again. I know Kwame is going to absolutely be shadow following you and looking at your stories. And then like, I'm going to be checking his Instagram. And you know, they're going to be like, he's going to have to be not following you and create a fake account to watch what you're doing. Like, she's like, fuck, I know the next 3 months are going to suck because I'm going to have to be so sketchy on him.
I did feel for Chelsea where you're like, they said that they live 7 minutes now from Zack and Bliss. They're best friends. And Chelsea is literally like, I'm living my dream. Kwame and I are working out. Everything is good. I am growing. We are growing together. We have our besties that we stay in hotels with together. And Micah's gone. She's in Arizona. And now Micah probably lives like 5 minutes from them.
Why did she move there? I guess she moved back, right?
She moved back.
No, but here's the thing too. You know, and Chelsea's smart. Chelsea knows that Mike is going to reach out to the other couples. Hey, let's get dinner. Infiltrating the circle. So now when Kwame and Chelsea go to dinner with the crew, Mike is going to be there now. 1,000%.
And you know what? I feel for Chelsea.
Oh, I felt so bad for Chelsea.
Because it's like Micah's not doing anything. Like she wasn't like all up on Kwame or anything.
Not at all.
It seems like she's definitely not interested
Chelsea's
anymore.
Like, now I have to think about this.
Now I have to think about it all the time.
Now every time we go to dinner with the crew, I got to go, is Micah going to be there? I got to prep myself for this. Now we know Micah's going to get drunk and be like, Kwame, can I talk to you for a second? I just want to say like everything's cool. We're cool, right? It's like, no, I have 2 kids with Chelsea.
You know what too, if I was Chelsea, where I'd be really annoyed is I'd be like, they have Micah walking in like, yes, I'm with my person. And we see Chelsea later, even when she's talking to Josh, where she's like, all that matters is like, you're with Jackie, like get over it. And I feel like Chelsea's doing a good job with that with Kwame, where she's not getting like entangled with the drama. But the fact that they let Micah walk in with Irina and Shelby, I'd be like, why is Shelby her best friend here? She wasn't part of the pod squad. Why is Shelby here now? So now I have to hang out with Shelby. Now I have to hang out with Shelby. I do have to say, when the girls got together and Irina was there and Shelby was there, it was much better than it had been in last season. But there were comments right away where it's like just undertones.
Irina's the worst.
when Micah had the flowers and they had their girls day together, and she immediately is just like, oh, Bliss, that reminds me, or purple, your flowers are purple, that reminds me of Bliss. And my mom likes it, such a mom color. A comment like that.
She immediately was jab, diss. No offense, Irina. She's just dissing everyone immediately. Like, it's so rude.
There was just a couple comments made about Bliss right away where I was just like, that weren't like mean comments, but it was just bringing her up, where I was a little bit like, there's no need to bring her up. Like,
she's so sweet.
You're not interested in Zach. Bliss is an angel. It's not like you were in love with Zach and now you're devastated.
Bliss was
understand.
So sweet to all, even the mean girls. She was always like, hey, why were you talking about me? Whatever, are we good? Whatever. So sweet. Bliss is an actual angel of a person. So to like pick her apart, it's like, what's there to pick apart?
I know. And then there was the Irina moment later too, where Irina sits Amber down and is like, hey, I just wanted to apologize to you about laughing when you were crying with the breakup with Paul and like, you know, mocking and and you've been nothing but kind to me. And like, I'm really sorry. And Amber was like, oh, thank you. And she's like, just FYI though, I didn't know you were crying. Like I had no idea what was happening. And Amber put her hand up and goes, she's like, no, you knew exactly what had happened. Don't do that. Like we're not going to do that. I don't care. I don't have a grudge against you. I don't care how you feel. Just like be better. I accept your apology. And literally Amber, I thought she handled it well because she just cut the conversation and she was like, no, I'm not going to argue about this. You apologize. Let's just end it there. Don't then do this whole like, I actually didn't know.
I'm sorry that you're so sensitive. And that's something that I wish I knew I could stoop to.
It started really well. I was like, oh my God, Irina's pulling her aside and like apologizing to her. And that's awesome.
It was literally like,
growth.
I wish I could stoop to your level and I'm working on that.
Yeah,
that's how it ended up.
And I have to say, at least Irina was starting to apologize. That's good. It's growth. But I just wish that then there wouldn't have been the but tacked onto it.
See, I don't buy it. I find the apologies like that all about like getting in graces of the public or getting in good graces of the audience. I don't think that's like forget the audience. That apology is not even coming in close. It's because it's when you expose yourself with a but, then you show that like. You're just trying to get good graces. So like you're making the apology in front of other people or like in front of the audience or something, but like that's true. You could have done that, a million years ago.
Yeah, like a year ago.
Now you do it. You could have sent a text a year ago. It's been a year. Now all of a sudden you're doing it because you're on camera. And Amber knew that. Amber's smart. You could tell Amber's smart. She's like, I know what this is.
Yeah. No, but the Chelsea Micah sit down was pretty legendary. That was pretty legendary.
Because Micah was like I said, nothing wrong. Micah was being really sweet. But Chelsea also knew like, this is going to be hell for me.
Yeah. She's like, I'm not.
And I loved how Chelsea that's the one area of her life that she can't put the positive spin on. So she just goes like, I don't know, the moon, maybe date some moon men because like, I want you to get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? Like she literally is like Brazil. I don't know, whatever far away from here. Like she goes, wow, I bet it's really tough for you to be single here. He's like, where's my partner?
She goes, your guy's definitely. I don't think your guy's here.
Yeah, get it though. And she goes, I don't know. I remember her saying something to the effect of like, I don't know, Micah, just move the fuck out of here.
She's like, get out of here.
Yeah, just get out of here. And Micah's like, okay, well, we should be friends. That's too funny.
Oh my God. Well, then when they were at the bar afterwards, the pod squad team ends up winning because honest to God, Kwame like carried them. Kwame was absolutely crushing the football game. The man was crushing.
Insane. Yeah.
But then they ended up going to the after party, and we've talked about some of the conversations and drama that was there. There was a moment when Jackie and Josh walked in, that Marshall and Josh right away shook hands, and then Marshall was like, Jackie, can I talk to you? And I have to tell you, that conversation, he immediately apologized to Jackie, and he's like, hey, I feel like I put a lot of pressure on you to make the relationship work. And when you were clearly like pushing away, I was holding on tighter and trying to force it. And I'm really sorry about that. And then she apologized to him about the way that the breakup was handled and the aftermath of everything. And, he tells her that she's seeing someone and he just wants her to be happy. And she's like, you deserve all the happiness and love in the world. And I do too. And I mean, they really, I was shocked. I thought it was going to end up escalating. And they were like, we're good. And they hugged it out. And I kind of got emotional. Because it was definitely like, it had been so brutal and so messy that having that like kind of ending, closure, the chapter just being put to bed where it's like, let it be done.
And I like that they both apologized.
Yeah.
Because looking back, I do go, you know what? I do think, like, for a while it was only Jackie, but then I got to look back and I go, Marshall was at fault here. Like, he should have seen the writing on the wall. And I do think there probably was some like moments where he was being semi-manipulative about like the situation and not kind of
or
reading
if anything, just like he said, just putting a lot of pressure on her to make it work.
I don't mean in a bad way. I mean, we've all been guilty of that kind of stuff. I'm more meaning in a way of like, he was trying to force her to be someone, not force her, but he was trying to put a lot of pressure on her to be someone she wasn't. She was not being honest about the fact that what she wanted, and like, it obviously blew a load. But like, I will say, like, that was a nice moment of like, you know what? Two humans can just move on and just enjoy their lives now. So that was cool. I actually enjoyed that.
It was a really nice moment. Now, on the flip side, what ended up happening is Keisha and Jackie were talking, and Keisha's like, Monica's coming. And Jackie's like, oh, no.
We're all like, who's Monica?
I'm like, who is Monica? She's like, oh, no, we got to get out of here. Okay. And then we find out that Monica was who Josh proposed to in the pod.
They just never showed it.
So
Crazy.
Keisha, Monica, all these people who you're like, oh my God, they had full stories.
Just picked storylines and left that one out.
It just got left out because it didn't end up working, I guess. But we find out that Josh proposed to a woman named Monica, and the proposal felt tight. Everything felt tight. Clearly it wasn't like meant to be. And then when they met each other in person, she literally said, oh my God, I'm engaged to a lunatic. Like, she used those words.
That was wild.
It was wild. And so that whole storyline was happening that we had no idea about. Simultaneously, Jackie says Monica was her very best friend. In fact, no one was closer in the house than her and Monica. But what ended up happening is after Monica and Josh broke up, then Jackie and Josh obviously started dating, that Monica and her were amazing friends. And then Monica reached out to both of them and said, hey, I want to share my side of what happened and talk about what my journey was like on Love is Blind. Here's what I'm going to post, and sent to them to ask for permission, which I find very respectable. That like, she's not just, she has every right to just post, but because she loves Jackie, she's like, here, I'm going to post this. I also totally understand spending weeks on a show that is like your life, and then you get fully cut out of the narrative and being like, I'd like to at least make a TikTok about what happened when I was gone for weeks. You know what I mean? Like, I totally get that. But Josh apparently is upset because he then said that, I don't know if he felt like it made him look bad or why is she bringing this up, because I guess then blogs and all these things were written about it. And he was thinking that Monica was reaching out to them.
Also blogs. Like, what? Blogs? That's even a word anymore? Does it even have a blog in it? Like, Lee, when was the last time you read a blog?
Like 10 years ago.
That's what I'm saying. So like, they were talking about blogs. I was like, wait, is this show from 2007?
I know, I was like, blogs? Like, what articles are getting picked up?
You mean like an Instagram post from another Instagram post? What are you talking about? Blogs?
I'm talking like live journal.
Yeah, no, for real though.
Like what are you talking, like on forums? Are you on a forum in 2009? Anyway, when they said blogs, I was like, I don't know what the hell you're even talking about.
No, but then she's sitting down with Jackie and she's like, I love you. Like, I asked your permission before.
Also, side note, if we didn't hear about it, that means that shit was like definitely not news.
I mean, maybe
news.
yes.
Like maybe a couple people wrote about it, but it wasn't
maybe
if it
yes
wasn't
or
big
no.
enough to be an actual thing that we would have heard about.
I would imagine.
We didn't even know this person existed.
Yeah.
It's like it clearly was not that big of a deal.
But then he was pissed about it and assuming that she reached out to these blogs, and she was like, no, I didn't. I just posted what I sent you guys before, 2 days before I posted it, and then they wrote about it, but I didn't reach out to them. So she's sitting with Jackie going like, you have to trust me. Like, I didn't have any bad intention. I wanted to share my story. And then it was interesting to see Jackie, because Jackie was like, you could tell she was really torn up about it and was like, I love you so much, but like, I got to stick by my man. And if he's not happy, then I got a problem with you. And Monica's like, what did I do wrong? And then she was pushing on her, saying like, a friend is forever. Like, I don't know, if your guy is pushing you to like end things with your bestie, like he might not be the right guy for you. And I feel like there is definitely truth in that. I think there are obviously some exceptions, but like in general, when someone's like pushing you to end a relationship with like someone you're really close to, you go, oh, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
And especially too, I know that Marshall was obviously more of a main story because Jackie and Marshall were together, but Jackie had to come face to face with Marshall and have these conversations, right? So why then was it like, oh, Josh gets to leave to not talk to Monica? Like that was like immediately like, oh, he's going to want to leave. It's like, no, Jackie can't talk to Marshall. Like, we didn't even know about Monica. Like, you got to talk to Monica.
Yeah.
And so she's like, I want to talk to Josh. Like, let's do this. And I don't know if they edited it and it was a long conversation and then it got explosive. But what it looked like to us is that these two sat down and it was like, Josh immediately is like, you're a clout chaser. You're a clout chaser.
And it's like, hey, you're saying you have clout? Like, Josh, look, back to reality here, bro. You're saying you have clout and that she can chase your clout? Is that what's going on?
But I'm also like, hey, we're all in a reality TV show, correct?
And I will say this. And I will say, not only Josh, do you not have clout?
Show.
Josh, you're the biggest clout chaser on the planet. You literally went after the one girl who was like the hottest topic at the moment. Like, he knew a clout chaser because he was a clout chaser. Like, you know what I mean? It's one of those. Like,
where there's smoke.
Exactly.
And I'm like, clout chaser. I'm like, you all went on the show on reality TV and this woman didn't get an ounce of screen time. So she just wants to share her story. Let her have a moment for the love of God. And then he was like, you're in the comments saying this shit. And it's just like, oh my God. Yeah. It just got explosive fast. And Monica was like, you're a 6. And she then all of Monica's feelings about Josh came
funny.
to the surface immediately. She's like, he's a 6-year-old boy. He can barely have a conversation.
But this is where I felt a little bit like, this was my critique on the situation. Josh, we know, loose cannon. Monica, we don't know. Her goal was to connect with Jackie again and be friends. Fake it. Like, Josh comes over, he starts attacking you as a person, whatever. But if your goal is to really actually get in connection with Jackie again,
but then he was coming
just
for
sit
her
there and just go, yeah, man, it's crazy. Yeah, the whole thing got out of control, and I apologize if I did anything to hurt you guys.
He right away was coming
even
for
if it's
her.
a lie.
No, but
you know
he
you're
was
not gonna
right
win
away
that
coming
shit.
for her character. So it's like I haven't had any screen time, and now I'm finally going to be on screen, and a main character essentially now is looking at me being like, "You're a clout chaser. You were saying all these things in the comments. You were coming in the blogs." Probably in the back of her head, it's like, if I don't defend myself, people are going to believe what he says. If I just go, oh man, I'm so sorry about that, then people are like, oh wow, she was out here doing this, and this. She was going to defend herself. I understand. I would be like,
don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that she wasn't right. I think she was right. I think she probably didn't do anything wrong. She did one small post, big deal, right? My thing was that like she knew that Josh wasn't going to come to the table and be like, man, I'm really sorry about the way that I've been frustrated at you for the last. She knew that he was going to fly off the handle. You got to prepare for that, and you got to be like, all right, I know he's going to fly off the handle. Let me redirect this and kind of make it simpler and just kind of get like, I want to be with my friend again, which is also another lesson to all the family out there. Just listen to me. If your friend is in a relationship with someone you don't like, you'll never win that.
Oh God, here we go.
Lee just shook his head in agreement. You'll never win. So just find a way to get along with their significant other if your friendship is important to you. Or else, if you ever say anything against their significant other, you'll never see them again. Am I not right?
I think a lot of times.
Most of the time. You have to just
gotta
find
support
a
your
way
friend.
to support your friend and get along with a significant other.
Unless they're
If you want-
they're asking for your opinion and your thoughts.
Maybe. Even that is a dangerous game. Even that, just know that like you might run into some issues there. So
Evan
like
has
just
trauma from this.
I have lots of trauma from this. I've lost multiple friends from just like my friend coming to me and being like, "What do you think about this person?" And I've been like, "Be honest with you, man. Seems like you really struggle. Seems like you have bad habits when you're on this person." And they go, "Wow, thank you." And then we're not friends anymore. So I'm just saying, if you want to get through to them, maybe wait it out. It's a little
Unbelievable.
trauma corner for you guys, all right? So all that being said, she should have just realized that she's not going to win
I understand.
fighting him. She's got to figure out a way to just get along.
I hear what you're saying, but what I'm saying is if I was in her situation and then he right away was like, you're this way and this way and this way, I would not have the capacity to just be like, the cameras are on me. I'm finally having this. And then be like, okay, sounds good. Like, I'd be like, no, I'm defending myself. Like,
she was right to defend herself, but she has to just know that that is the last time she's ever going to see Jackie. That's all I'm getting at.
But she said, I have to say, Monica said, whatever happens, I'll always be here for you. So if Jackie and Josh break up, I believe that Monica will be there for Jackie. Now, I don't know Monica at all, but I do believe that she will be there.
But I trust her inherently on everything.
But I trust her and I believe she will be there for Jackie. And with that being said, I have just thoughts about Josh. That's just, I know we saw all the stuff with Jackie last season and had all our critiques with that, but I do have to tell you, I feel like...
Oh, he's toxic.
I feel like all of everything that's happened in this past year with the show getting released and Jackie having to face the fire, which, she had to address a lot of the behavior that went down, rightly so. But it seemed like to me that there had been growth there. That's what it seemed like to me. I felt like the fact that she was sitting with Marshall and even just the way that she was moving throughout the show, I definitely felt like it seemed like there was a lot of growth there. And Josh, I just don't feel like he's I think that it would be better off apart. But you know what?
Well, if you say that, you're never speaking to Jackie again. So just so you know.
But you know what? I don't know your guys' relationship behind the scenes, so who knows? But it's just not for me. You know what I mean? It's not for
100%.
me.
Well, our job is to guess.
Our job is to guess
and make judgments from afar.
But and then by the way, when Josh came in, like you were saying, Josh came in after Jackie basically was like, hey, like it's too much. This is too much for me. Like, and in that moment, it was like I heard what she was saying, where it was like, I've made a lot of mistakes on camera in the last season.
I don't
want to relive this. Like we're not doing this right now. Like I just need to remove myself from the situation. I felt like to a certain extent that was a good choice before it would escalate. I think there's like, let's go. But when Josh came back in and it was right away, like couldn't resist being like going up to Marshall and being like, oh man.
You know what I'm going through, right? Crazy.
And Marshall's face was killing me.
He immediately gets on his phone. He starts like randomly just like looking at the weather.
And Marshall's just like, are you really going to come to me and talk about this? Like there is literally everyone else in the bar that you could have this conversation with. Why me? And then Chelsea was, throwing facts at Josh where she's like, why does this matter? Like you're with Jackie. Like grow from that, be with Jackie, support Jackie in this. Like don't make this a whole thing. And the party kind of wrapped after that. Brett made an absolutely gorgeous speech to all of them and, redeclared his love to Tiffany. But then like he said too, like we're all part of this group. Like we'll always have this experience together, which is pretty incredible. Like they'll always have each other. And then we got like the final words with the couples and Brett, Tiffany, Zack, Bliss.
They're all still together.
Kwame and Chelsea, like God bless. They all seem so happy.
We wish you the best. This is the last time we'll ever speak on you. realistically, right?
I mean, probably,
And we
unless
wish you the
something
best.
gets brought up. But like, my goodness, congratulations to them making it through. Like
The most
what-
successful franchise ever. They've had like a couple seasons, and the amount of people get married is crazy. And like The Bachelor has had 40,000 seasons, and there's like 4 couples.
I mean, honestly,
Like,
like.
it's actually crazy.
And this specific season is so successful. The fact that it's
Dude,
been a
it's
year
insane.
and everyone's still together, is like that. And that got
there's-
married. That's wild.
Like how many one bad proposal? Paul and Micah.
Yeah,
Everyone else could stay together.
Marshall and Jackie.
Marshall and
But
Jackie.
everyone,
Okay.
but everyone
So,
who got married is still married.
still married. That shows you
And
this
you
shit
know
works
what?
way more than The Bachelor or Bachelorette.
And honest to God, like shout out to them though. I can't imagine how hard this year is, like in the limelight, dealing with people's opinions, thoughts, people like us, our opinions, you know, dealing with all that stuff. And like they are all so in love and they seem like they're all doing so well. So
we wish you all the best.
blessings to them. And it was an honor. It was an honor to watch your seasons. And then
Slow
we got
clap.
a preview for Love is Blind season 5,
That'll
which is
be-
coming out September 22nd, I believe.
Yeah,
Which we will be recapping.
I'm excited.
Very excited.
So
very
much good
excited.
stuff coming up, you guys. Let's go.
So remember to tune in on Wednesday to our Bachelor in Paradise cast bio-ish predictions, reintroduction to
Yes.
some of the cast, etc. Should we do a quick call home?
Dolly.
Remember, you can always call home.
Hi, Mom and Dad,
Hello.
and Stepdad Lee. It feels kind
Hi.
of funny to be calling you guys Mom and Dad because the question that I'm going to ask is something that you typically wouldn't talk to your parents about, but I was hoping to get some advice from you guys. My husband and I the other night were getting a little having some fun in the bedroom, and kind of right at the beginning, he surprised me with a variety of sex toys, and I was a little surprised because we haven't done anything like that in a while, and we've been married for about 5 years now.
Okay.
And I was just shocked to say the least. Like, I'm not someone who's like against any of this stuff at all, but I was just kind of surprised that he didn't say that he was planning on buying all of these things, nor was I included on like the decision making process of like what we should buy. And some of the things he bought too, I was kind of like, whoa, interesting. So I was just a little
Like a
surprised.
battle
And
axe.
not only that, I know this package came in the mail like a couple weeks ago too. So I was also kind of like surprised that he never showed this to me like when it first came in, and he's been hiding it in like the closet for the past 3 weeks and just now decided to tell me about it. So I was a little surprised on that too. But what the advice that I'm kind of looking for is like, I'm not someone, you know, who would be like, I don't want to do these things, but at the same time I'm like, I just want to be included on the decision. So I'm just trying to think of a way to like approach my husband I don't want him to like feel bad about the things that he bought or like, you know, shamed or anything like that. But I just want him to like come to me, and discuss these things like before and like talk about like maybe things that we'd want or things that we'd want to try, and like not just surprise me with some things that make me say, ouch, that looks painful. So yeah, if you guys could give me some advice, that would be amazing on just how I can have a discussion with him. But thank you so much. I love you guys. I love listening to you every week. But yeah, thank you. Bye.
I love her. I love her energy. Okay, first and foremost, just want to validate your feelings that I'm sure you know this, but just want to validate your feelings that like I too would feel thrown off if after however many years of marriage, out of the blue, Evan presented me with
Which
a certain...
reminds me.
Oh, I'm like, where's that back?
Is for you. No, just kidding.
Like, what? Did you prep in advance for this?
Just a duffel bag full of weapons.
But if you presented out of thin air after being together for years, like one night, like
5 years in, all of a sudden out of nowhere,
here is a bag of toys, and it was like, what? And then like you, dear listener, were saying like there was a package that came in the mail, and like I know, and he's now been hiding it.
No, nothing.
Yeah, don't open that. I would also feel I would feel thrown off.
You're like,
I'd be
what's
like,
going on?
What's what's the deal right now? Why wasn't I brought in on this? Why are you inherently like hiding this away? My guess probably would be that your husband is interested in wanting to maybe explore some new things in the bedroom, and he probably feels a little bit embarrassed and a little nervous and doesn't know quite how to communicate his desires in those ways and present that to you without in the moment being like, here's this massive bag that I've been thinking about. So if I were you, communication wise, what I would say is it would be like, listen, I when you brought all those toys in, like I love our sex life. If this is the truth, I love our sexual life together, and I'm super open to hearing about, what you're interested in and trying new things. Like, I think it would be, before we like dove into specific toys, like I think it might be really fun to like sit together over a glass of wine and talk about what maybe some of our fantasies are. And like, I can talk with you about some of the things that maybe turn me on, and you can talk with me. And then once we talk about it, maybe we can purchase some things together so we can look forward to those things together and kind of put it that way. So like you were saying, you didn't want your partner to feel shamed. But I also think that it's good to like totally fine to communicate too, if you feel comfortable doing this with your partner, that like, hey, I'm excited that you're down to want to have these different forms of fun with me in the bedroom. But if I'm being honest, like, I don't know how I necessarily feel about some of those things. So what would be really hot and cool for me is if we could look at those together. And what about I'm part of this, or maybe I'll go purchase some things and see how you feel about those. And maybe we can come together before a night of intimacy and show each other what we got and decide if each of us are comfortable with the things we brought, and then we'll return the things that we're not, or we go to a sex shop together and choose that. Something along those lines. Yeah. That's my initial thought.
I say you go harder and crazier than he is, so that he goes back to where you want him to be. So like whatever he was going on with you, double it. So he's like, this is crazy. I opened up a bag of worms I should have not gone down. Now I'm running for my life here. No, I'm kidding.
That's the passive way.
That's the way to
very
passive aggressive
secretly
way to
be like, I had no idea. I thought I was pushing the envelope. Okay. I think everything Jess said is obviously I agree with 100%. The only thing I would add to it is more like the vibe I'm getting is that he had like kind of a wild hair. Like there's something that happened to him recently that made him feel vanilla or something
maybe
like
he was talking with some friends,
triggered him. He was talking to a buddy and they're like, wait, you guys don't do that. Something triggered him to go 5 years, and all of a sudden you show up with a duffel bag full of like genital, like craziness. Like you don't do that overnight.
Yeah.
If you do that overnight, that means like you read something, you talked to someone, something happened that kind of put a wild hair in your thought. I'm going to try something. Also, you said this package showed up 2 weeks in advance. That means he's been sitting on it for 2 weeks, kind of like thinking about it,
like,
and
should
waiting.
I bring this
Exactly.
up? Yeah.
So there's a bunch of things that could be going on.
It's funny you say that, by the way. The one time that I made a purchase that was like a bit of a wild hair for our bedroom once that I then brought around was when I had been having a conversation with a girlfriend of mine, and she had brought up something about her and her partner that kind of made, and she didn't intend to do this, but it kind of made me feel like a little shame, like I wasn't doing enough in the bedroom, which by the way, that's never a thing. You do what you feel comfortable with and what you want, right? But I felt all of a sudden this feeling like you were saying, like I felt too vanilla. Right. And so I was like, maybe I'm just gonna bring this because maybe my husband's really bored and he's just not telling me. Yeah. So
what I think happened, and again, this could all be correct, this could all be wrong, but all I'm bringing is to is like no one wakes up 5 years later and just like makes a sudden left turn unless something happened. Whether it could be he's having a conversation, you know, he could have had fantasies your entire marriage and he never spoke on them. So maybe he was never honest about certain things and he finally kind of got the courage to be honest. There could be a million things. Personally, I think this has much more to do with your guys' communication than it has to do with sex. I think this has a lot to do with the fact that, like, even the fact that you're reaching out right now and saying, I don't know how to talk to him about this, I think that's what you dive into. Sex, everything else is like, I feel like is always like a byproduct of like the ability to communicate with each other. So what I would do is I wouldn't even like make the sex thing or like the sex toy thing a big deal. I would focus on the fact that you felt like you were blindsided by this. Like my initial instinct is telling me you guys aren't talking on a level about these type of things that is allowing you both to talk about it. I'm feeling like both of you guys aren't on a page right now in your relationship where you feel like you could openly just discuss these things. I would focus more on that than like, I'd focus more on that than like, how do I tell him that was a little crazy or whatever? I would focus more on the fact that like, just talk more. And then maybe while you're talking, bring up some new topics that you haven't talked about and see if you can drill down on like why he went there. You know what I mean? Like kind of, I don't know. My brain is, my instincts are telling me that you guys have a lot to talk about in general. And that I would focus more on that. I would focus more on talking more, being a little more open maybe than you're normally comfortable with lately. Maybe you guys were more open in the past and then life has gotten, you know, a little busy, a little crazy. We kind of shut down. We all do it all the time. I do it. Jess does it. We do it all the time where we have these moments where we're really intimate and then these moments where we're not. And then we kind of make these like really rash decisions to kind of like jump us back into something or whatever. I'd focus more on just you guys reconnecting as people, because the sex toy bag thing hits me a lot more as him trying to reconnect in an uncomfortable way or like in a rash way. And it has very little to do with sex. And it has a lot more to do with the fact that you guys aren't maybe connecting like you used to.
Yeah.
That's my take.
I think that's really good advice.
Because before you know, if he did a left turn, he'd be like, what is this?
Yeah.
And he'd be like, I don't know. I just tried something. Like, why didn't we talk about this? And the conversation's already over.
Yeah.
But the fact that you guys seem to be both very tentative with yourself is telling me that there's a lot of communication that's not going on. That's my take.
I think that's really good advice.
Anyway, who knows if that's correct, but only you can answer that. But that's kind of what I would throw with it.
That's good advice. I think that's good advice. Well, best of luck. And yeah, it's always, in general, whether it's the form of communication that I brought up or what Evan was bringing up, it goes back to communication.
Yeah, 100%. I think they work together. I think mine's more big picture. Jess is more once you're in it. So like maybe once you kind of come together and you're talking more, then you start taking Jess's like approach where you're like, once you're in it, that Jess gave you like the goods on how to get there. And then I'm maybe more helping with like the like just start talking vibe. So anyway.
Well,
we love
sending you so much love. We love all of you and have a beautiful, beautiful week.
Peace and
A
love.
beautiful week.
We'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.